The Urantia book, section 3, paper 104, the growth of the Trinity concept. The Trinity concept of revealed religion must not be confused with the triad beliefs of evolutionary religion. And so must not be confused with the triad beliefs of evolutionary religions. The ideas of triads arose from many suggestive relationships, but chiefly because of the 3 joints of the fingers, because 3 legs were the fewest which could stabilize a stool, because 3 support points could keep up a tent. Furthermore, primitive men for a long time could not count beyond 3. Aside from certain natural couplets, such as past and present, day and night, hot and cold, and male and female, man generally tends to think in triads. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, sunrise, noon, and sunset, father, mother, and child. 3 cheers are given to the victor. The dead are buried on the 3rd day, and the ghost is placated by 3 ablutions of water. As a consequence of these natural associations in human experience, the triad made its appearance in religion, and this long before the paradise trinity of deities, or even any of their representatives, had been revealed to mankind. Later on, the Persians, Hindus, Greeks, Egyptians, Babylonians, Romans, and Scandinavians all had triad gods, but these were still not true trinities. Triad deities all had a natural origin and have appeared at one time or another among most of the intelligent peoples of Urantia. Sometimes the concept of an evolutionary triad has become mixed with that of a revealed trinity. In these instances, it is often impossible to distinguish one from another. Urantian Trinity concepts. The first Urantian revelation leading to the comprehension of the Paradise Trinity was made by the staff of Prince Caligastia about 1/2 million years ago. This earliest Trinity concept was lost to the world in the unsettled times following the planetary rebellion. The second presentation of the Trinity was made by Adam and Eve in the first and second gardens. These teachings had not been wholly obliterated even in the times of Makifenta Melchizedek about 35,000 years later. For the Trinity concept of the Sethites persisted in both Mesopotamia and Egypt, but more especially in India, where it was long perpetuated in Agni, the Vedic 3-headed fire god, so-called god. The third presentation of the Trinity was made by Makifenta Melchizedek, and this doctrine was symbolized by the 3 concentric circles which the sage of Salem wore on his breastplate. But Makifenta found it very difficult to teach the Palestinian Bedouins about the Universal Father, the Eternal Son, and the Infinite Spirit. Most of his disciples thought that the Trinity consisted of the 3 Most Highs of Norleichadek. If you conceived A few conceived of Trinity as the system sovereign, the constellation father, and the local universe creator deity. Still fewer even remotely grasped the idea of the paradise association of the Father, Son, and Spirit. Through the activities of the Salem missionaries, the Melchizedek teachings of the Trinity gradually spread throughout much of Eurasia and northern Africa. It is often difficult to distinguish between the triads and the trinities in the later Andite and the post-Melchizedek ages, when both concepts to a certain extent intermingled and coalescent. Among the Hindus, the Trinitarian concept took root as being intelligence and joy. A later Indian conception was Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, while the earlier Trinity portrayals were brought to India by the Sethite priests. The later ideas of the Trinity were imported by the Salem missionaries and were developed by the native intellects of India through the compounding of these doctrines with the evolutionary triad conceptions. The Buddhist faith developed two doctrines of a Trinitarian nature. The earlier was teacher, law, and brotherhood. That was the presentation made by Gautama Siddhartha. The later idea, developing among the northern branch of the followers of Buddha, embraced Supreme Lord, Holy Spirit, and Incarnate Savior. And these ideas of the Hindus and Buddhists were real Trinitarian postulates. That is, the idea of a threefold manifestation of a monotheistic God. A true Trinity conception is not just a grouping together of three separate gods. The Hebrews knew about the Trinity from the Kenite traditions of the days of Melchizedek, but their monotheistic zeal for the one God, the so-called Yahweh, so eclipsed all such teachings that by the time of Jesus' appearance, the Elohim doctrine had been practically eradicated from Jewish theology. The Hebrew mind could not reconcile the Trinitarian concept with the monotheistic belief in the one Lord, the God of Israel, better said the God of all. But this whole idea of God of Israel was done by Moses to get his people into this real understanding of the Trinity concept. But God is of course for everyone and every nation, and God has no favorite. God is not doing in any way, shape or form favoritism. So this whole idea of God of Israel, we finally can let go of too. It is just God. God is for every person and also for every nation. The followers of the Islamic faith likewise failed to grasp the idea of the Trinity. It is always difficult for an emerging monotheism to tolerate Trinitarianism. When confronted by polytheism, the Trinity idea takes best hold of those religions which have a firm monotheistic tradition coupled with doctrinal elasticity. The great monotheists, the Hebrews and Mohammedans, found it difficult to distinguish between worshipping three so-called gods, polytheism, and Trinitarianism, the worship of one deity existing in a triune manifestation of divinity and personality. So Jesus taught his apostles the truth regarding the persons of the paradise. Trinity, but they thought he spoke figuratively and symbolically. Having been nurtured in Hebraic monotheism, they found it difficult to entertain any belief that seemed to conflict with their dominating concept of so-called Yahweh. And the early Christians inherited the Hebraic prejudice against the Trinity concept, and this is still going on, because there are a lot of people that are promoting very distorted ideas and beliefs and teachings about the Trinity concept. One of them is that some very highly confused brothers and sisters are thinking that the Trinity concept is coming from the Greeks. So, and there is a movement going on that and that is a very concerning movement, and this is the Hebrew root Messianic sacred name movements. These movements are trying to create a hate against God and Jesus, and they are doing their uttermost best to convince people that they know what the right name of God is and the right name of Jesus is, but this is all done on purpose to lure as many as possible of God's children into agendas that have nothing to do with God whatsoever, and into a way of thinking that brings these people completely back into primitivism and religionism. So that is very concerning, and I advise you to not take these sayings very seriously, and know that these brothers and sisters whom are very convinced in that they are not hungering nor thirsting for higher spiritual truths, and that they are very confused brothers and sisters, unfortunately. The first Trinity of Christianity was proclaimed at Antioch and consisted of God, His Word, and His wisdom. Paul knew of the Paradise Trinity of Father, Son, and Spirit, but he seldom preached about it. And Paul of Tarsus was very influenced by Mithraism and Stoicism and cynicism. And all that has influenced his way of thinking. And another thing is that Paul of Tarsus was also a friend of Simon Peter, and Simon Peter started to teach the teachings of Jesus in his way, and he also added things to it that were not said by Jesus at all. The only apostle actually, yeah, you can say almost the only apostle, who was not really an apostle of Jesus, by the way, but one of the apostles of John the Baptist. His name was Abner, and Abner was actually the one that stayed the closest to the form of teaching that Jesus did when he was teaching his apostles, disciples, and followers. But later on, due to the rising of the Muslim belief, Abner became more and more pushed away from the scene and out of the scene. So eventually his group ceased to exist. And another thing is that Paul of Tarsus never has met Jesus in real life. all the things that he knew about Jesus was coming directly from Simon Peter. And Paul of Tarsus never could make the connection with the man at the cross and the scribe of Damascus, because Jesus was also called the scribe of Damascus. Paul seldom preached about this Trinity and made mention thereof in only a few of his letters to the newly forming churches, even then as did his fellow apostles. Paul confused Jesus, the creator son of the local universe, with the second person of deity, the eternal Son of Paradise. The Christian concept of the Trinity, which began to gain recognition near the close of the 1st century after Christ, was comprised of the universal Father, the creator Son of Nebadon, and the divine minister of Selfington, Mother Spirit, of the local universe and creative consort of the creator Son. Not since the times of Jesus has the factual identity of the Paradise Trinity been known on Urantia, except by a few individuals to whom it was especially revealed. Until its presentation in these revelatory disclosures, but though the Christian concept of the Trinity erred, in fact it was practically true with respect to spiritual relationships. Only in its philosophic implications and cosmological consequences did this concept suffer embarrassment. It has been difficult for many who are cosmic-minded to believe that the second person of deity, the second member of an infinite Trinity, once dwelt on Urantia. So the eternal Son has once dwelt on Urantia, because Michael of Nebadon contained a lot of essence of the eternal Son. Some of the Michaels have more essence of God the Father. And the eternal Son also does be an bestowal. So God the Father bestows himself upon each one of us through the thought adjuster, and the eternal Son also bestows himself, but then in this way, by sending a Paradise Creator Son, in which on which the eternal Son is bestowed upon. So that the second member of an infinite Trinity once dwelt on Urantia, and while in spirit this is true, in actuality it is not a fact. The Michael creators fully embody the divinity of the eternal Son. So they fully embody the divinity of the eternal Son, but they are not the absolute personality. So they are not the eternal Son themselves. They are only embodying it. So the same for us. We embody a God the Father fragment in us, but it doesn't mean that we are a full, his full absolute personality. 2. Trinity, unity, and deity plurality. Monotheism arose as a philosophic protest against the inconsistency of polytheism. It developed first through pantheon organizations with the departmentalization of supernatural activities, then through the henotheistic exaltation of one God above the many, and finally through the exclusion of all but the one true living God of final value. Trinitarianism grows out of the experiential protest against the impossibility of conceiving the oneness of the de-anthropomorphized solitary deity of unrelated universe significance. Given a sufficient time, philosophy tends to abstract the personal qualities from the deity concept of pure monotheism, thus reducing this idea of an unrelated God to the status of a pantheistic absolute. It has always been difficult to understand the personal nature of God, who has no personal relationships, inequality with other and coordinate personal beings. Personality in deity demands that such deity exists in relation to other and equal personal deity. Through the recognition of the Trinity concept, the mind of man can hope to grasp something of the interrelationship of love and law in the time-space creations. Through spiritual faith, man gains insight into the love of God, but soon discovers that this spiritual faith has no influence on the ordained laws of the material universe, irrespective of the firmness of man's belief in God as his paradise father. Expanding cosmic horizons demand that he also gives recognition to the reality of paradise deity as universal law, that he recognizes the Trinity sovereignty extending outward from paradise and overshadowing even the evolving local universes of the creator sons and creative daughters of the three eternal persons, whose deity union is the fact and reality and eternal in the visibility of the paradise Trinity. And this self-same paradise Trinity is a real entity, not a personality, but nonetheless a true and absolute reality, not a personality, but nonetheless compatible with coexistent personalities, the personalities of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. The Trinity is a supersummative deity reality eventuating out of the conjoining of the three paradise deities. The qualities, characteristics, and functions of the Trinity are not the simple sum of the attributes of the three paradise deities. Trinity functions are something unique, original, and not wholly predictable from an analysis of the attributes of Father, Son, and Spirit. Three Trinities and Triunities. While mankind has sometimes grasped at an understanding of the Trinity of the three persons of deity, consistency demands that the human intellect perceive that there are certain relationships between all seven absolutes, but all that which is true of the paradise Trinity is not necessarily true of a triunity, for a triunity is something other than a trinity. In certain functional aspects, a triunity may be analogous to a trinity, but it is never homologous in nature with a trinity. So mortal man is passing through a great age of expanding horizons and enlarging concepts on Urantia, and his cosmic philosophy must accelerate in evolution to keep pace with the expansion of the intellectual arena of human thought. as the cosmic consciousness of mortal man expands, he perceives the interrelatedness of all that he finds in his material science. Intellectual philosophy and spiritual insight, still with all this belief in the unity of the cosmos, man perceives the diversity of all existence in spite of all concepts concerning the immutability of deity. Man perceives that he lives in a universe of constant change and experiential growth. Regardless of the realization of the survival of spiritual values, man has ever to reckon with the mathematics and pre-mathematics of force, energy, and power. While reason demands a monotheistic unity of cosmic reality, finite experience requires the postulate of plural absolutes and of their coordination in cosmic relationships. Without coordinate existence, there is no possibility for the appearance of diversity of absolute relationships, no chance for the operation of differentials, variables, modifiers, attenuators, qualifiers, or diminishers. In these papers, total reality, infinity, has been presented as it exists in the seven absolutes: 1. The universal Father, 2. The eternal Son, 3. The infinite Spirit, 4. The Isle of Paradise, 5. The deity absolute, 6. The universal absolute, and 7. The unqualified absolute. The first source and center is who? The first source and center, who is the Father, to the eternal Son, is also pattern to the Paradise Isle. He is personality, unqualified in the Son, but personality potentialized in the deity absolute. The Father is energy revealed in Paradise Havona, and at the same time energy concealed in the unqualified absolute. The infinite is ever disclosed in the ceaseless acts of the conjoined actor, which is the infinite Spirit, while he is eternally functioning in the compensating but enshrouded activities of the universal absolute. Thus is the Father related to the 6 coordinate absolutes, and thus do all 7 encompass the circle of infinity throughout the endless cycles of eternity. Thus does the Paradise Trinity stand unique among absolute relationships. There are several existential triunities, but only one existential trinity. A triunity is not an entity. Yeah. And the Paradise Trinity is not a triunity, it is not a functional unanimity. Rather is it undivided and indivisible deity. The Father, Son, and Spirit can sustain a relationship to the Paradise Trinity, for the Trinity is their undivided deity. I lost track here. Oh yeah. A triunity is not an entity, it is functional rather than organic. Its members are partners rather than corporative. The components of the triunities may be entities, but a triunity itself is an association. There is, however, one point of comparison between Trinity and triunity. Both eventuate in functions that are something other than the discernible sum of the attributes of the component members. But while they are thus comparable from a functional standpoint, they otherwise exhibit no categorical relationship. They are roughly related as the relation of function to structure, but the function of the triunity association is not the function of the Trinity structure or entity. The triunities are nonetheless real. They are very real. In them is total reality functionalized, and through them does the Universal Father exercise immediate and personal control over the master functions of infinity. For the seven triunities, in attempting the description of seven triunities, attention is directed to the fact that the Universal Father is the primal member of each. He is, he was, and he ever will be. The first Universal Father dash source, comma, absolute center, comma, primal cause, comma, universal controller, comma, limitless energizer, comma, original unity, comma, unqualified upholder, comma, first person of deity, comma, primal cosmic pattern, comma, and essence of infinity. The Universal Father is the personal cause of the absolute. He is the absolute of absoluteness. The nature and meaning of the seven triunities may be suggested as the first Trinity dash the personal purposive triunity. This is the grouping of the three deity personalities: 1, the Universal Father; 2, the Eternal Son; and 3, the Infinite Spirit. This is the threefold union of love, mercy, and ministry. The purposive and personal association of the three eternal paradise personalities. This is the divinely fraternal, creature-loving, fatherly, acting, and ascension promoting association. The divine personalities of this first triunity are personality bequeathing, spirit bestowing, and mind endowing gods. This is the triunity of infinite volition. It acts throughout the eternal present and in all of the past, present, future flow of time. The second Trinity is the power pattern triunity. Whether it be a tiny ultimatum, a blazing star, or a whirling nebula. Even the central or super universes, from the smallest to the largest material organizations, always is the physical pattern dash cosmic configuration derived from the function of this triunity. This association consists of the Father, the Paradise Isle, and 3, the conjoined actor, also known as the Infinite Spirit. Energy is organized by the cosmic agents of the third source and center. Energy is fashioned after the pattern of paradise, the absolute materialization, but behind all of this ceaseless manipulation is the presence of the Father-Son, whose union first activated the paradise pattern in the appearance of Havona, concomitant with the birth of the Infinite Spirit, the conjoined actor. Then we have the third triunity. This is the one of the Spirit, evolutional triunity. The entirety of spiritual manifestation has its beginning and end in this association, consisting of 1, the universal Father, 2, the Son Spirit, and 3, the deity absolute. From spirit potency to paradise spirit, all spirit finds reality expression in this triune association of the pure spirit essence of the Father, the active spirit values of the Son Spirit, and the unlimited spirit potentials of the deity absolute. The existential values of spirit have their primordial genesis, complete manifestation, and final destiny in this triunity. The Father exists before spirit. The Son Spirit functions as active creative spirit. The deity absolute exists as all-encompassing spirit, beyond even beyond spirit. And then we have the fourth triunity, the triunity of energy, infinity. Within this triunity, there eternalizes the beginnings and the endings of all energy reality, from space potency to monota. This grouping embraces the following: 1, the Father Spirit, 2, the Father of the Paradise Isle, and 3, the unqualified absolute. So paradise is the center of the force energy activation of the cosmos, the universe position of the first source and center, the cosmic focal point of the unqualified absolute, and the source of all energy, existentially present within this triunity is the energy potential of the cosmos infinite, of which the grand universe and the master universe are only partial manifestations. The fourth triunity absolutely controls the fundamental units of cosmic energy and releases them from the grasp of the unqualified absolute in direct proportion to the appearance in the experiential deities of sub-absolute. Capacity to control and stabilize the metamorphosing cosmos. This triunity is force and energy. The endless possibilities of the unqualified absolute are centered around the absolutum of the Isle of Paradise, whence emanate the unimaginable agitations of the otherwise static quiescence of the unqualified, and the endless throbbing of the material paradise, heart of the infinite cosmos, beats in harmony with the unfathomable pattern and the unsearchable plan of the infinite energizer, the first source and center. The fifth triunity, the triunity of reactive infinity. This association consists of 1. The universal Father, 2. The universal Absolute, and 3. The unqualified Absolute. This grouping yields the eternalization of the functional infinity, realization of all that is actualizable within the domains of non-deity reality. This triunity manifests unlimited reactive capacity to the volitional, causative, tensional and paternal actions and presence of the other triunities. Now the sixth form of triunity is the triunity of cosmic associated deity, and this group is consisting of the universal Father, the deity absolute, and the universal absolute. And the seventh triunity is the triunity of the infinite unity. This is the unity of infinity, functionally manifest in time and eternity, the coordinate unification of actuals and potentials, and this group consists of 1. The universal Father, the conjoined actor, the universal absolute. And moreover, in the other papers all about the Supreme Being and because the chapter about the Supreme Being and the Almighty Supreme and God the Supreme, they all are about this. The only thing is the conjoined actor universally integrates the varying functional aspects of all actualized reality on all levels of manifestation, from finites through transcendentals and on to absolutes. The universal absolute perfectly compensates the differentials inherent in the varying aspects of all incomplete reality, from the limitless potentialities of active, volitional and causative deity reality to the boundless possibilities of static, reactive, non-deity reality in the incomprehensible domains of the unqualified absolute. As they function in this triunity, the conjoined actor / infinite spirit and the universal absolute are alike responsive to deity and to non-deity presence, as also is the first source and center, who in this relationship is to all intents and purposes conceptually indistinguishable from the I am. Although these associations cannot augment the infinity of the Father - I am, they do appear to make possible the sub-infinite and sub-absolute manifestations of his reality. The 7 triunities multiply versatility, eternalize new depths, deitize new values, disclose new potentialities and reveal new meanings, and all these diversified manifestations in time and space and in the eternal cosmos are existent in the hypothetical stasis of the original infinity of the I am, who is in actually known as primal cause. And then the last point of this chapter Point 5, trio deities. Trio deities. I don't know. I think I'm actually wondering if this is a real word in the vocabulary. Trio deities. There are certain other triune relationships which are non-father in constitution, but they are not real triunities, and they are always distinguished from the father triunities. They are called variously associate triunities, coordinate triunities, and triodeities. They are consequential to the existence of the triunities. Two of these associations are constituted as follows. The triodity of actuality. This triodity consists in the interrelationship of the three absolute actuals. 1, the eternal Son, 2, the paradise isle, and 3, the conjoined actor. The eternal Son is the absolute of spirit reality, the absolute personality. The paradise isle is the absolute of cosmic reality, the absolute pattern. The conjoined actor / infinite spirit is the absolute of mind reality. The infinite spirit is the God in action, so to speak. The coordinate of absolute spirit reality and the existential deity synthesis of personality and power. This triune association eventuates the coordination of the sum total of actualized reality - spirit, cosmic or mindal. It is unqualified in actuality. The triodity of potentiality. This triodity consists in the association of the three absolutes of potentiality. 1, the deity absolute, 2, the universal absolute, and 3, the unqualified absolute. And later on in the chapter all about the Supreme Being and the ultimate later in the chapters about the Supreme Being, the Almighty Supreme, and God the Supreme. I think that was the last. And the ultimate, supreme and ultimate time and space, you get more about all this of the triodity. Thus are interassociated the infinity reservoirs of all latent energy, reality - spirit, mindal or cosmic. This association yields the integration of all latent energy, reality. It is infinite in potential. As the triunities are primarily concerned with the functional unification of infinity, so are the triodities involved in the cosmic appearance of experiential deities. The triunities are indirectly concerned, but the triodities are directly concerned in the experiential deities - supreme, ultimate, and absolute. They appear in the emerging power - personality synthesis of the Supreme Being, who is also God. God is actually a spirit that is consisting of many, many layers. And one of the layers is known Supreme Being. Another one is known as God the Ultimate, and God the Absolute, and God the Supreme. So we need to understand that God is a multi-level layered spirit being. and is cause the primordial cause. Of is named, I mean the primordial cause. That is in actuality what God is. And to the time creatures of space, the Supreme Being is a revelation of the unity of the I Am. And with this said, I have come to the end of reading this chapter 104. Oh. And all the information in this chapter has come to us and is presented to us by a Melchizedek of Nebadon. And thank you so much, Melchizedek of Nebadon, for giving us this information. And with this said, I want to say thank you to all of you who has listened to this audio video, and God bless you.